So welcome, hi, hello, konnichiwa, que buena, and what's good? As in what's good on the internet, what's good in life. I'm Li495. Saturday morning, you know what that means. Another edition of 10 Minutes on the Clock. My weekend recap show with me, Li495 Akeem, as well as all of yours, because I've done this for about a few months now, but I really want to try, as I said in my last video, I really want to try and get your input. What you think of the show? What should be changed about it? What should happen? What should happen with it? What should I talk about in the future? I want to try and see if I can get your input in the future. Okay. On to some things that are on my mind for this weekend's show. I want to start off with MLB All Star Voting. Okay, I can understand Major League Baseball. They're already trying to gym up hype for the MLB All Star Game. It's this year in Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, and outside of the fact that the Royals never really do well ever in the regular season, that's probably pretty much the only time that most eyes are going to be on Kauffman Stadium for any time this year is going to be when they host the All-Star Game later this July. I can understand that they're already trying to create buzz. They're already trying to create excitement. Fox is loving this because the more buzz created for the All-Star Game means more ratings for the All-Star Game. But seriously, Major League Baseball, Bud Selig, I can understand you're trying to create buzz, but don't you think it's a little bit too early? I mean, we're still about, 2.5 to 3 months away from the actual All-Star Game being played in Kansas City this year. And as far as I'm concerned, if we had some way to find out who was in the lead, and in fact, we actually do have a way to find out who's in the lead, who's leading the All-Star voting. Silly me. But if I were to log on to the MLB.com website and I find out that somebody other than Matt Kemp is not, no disrespect to anybody else in the league, but if you're going to have the voting done this early, if I find out that somewheres under 85% of the votes aren't already for Matt Kemp, then something's wrong with Major League Baseball fans, because right now, the way it looks, Matt Kemp is beasting. He's trying to win Major League, or rather NL MVP already in the month of April, and we still have a long way to go till we get to the end of September, early October, and the Los Angeles Dodgers already look like they are thinking about October as well. So that's just something I want to mention on as far as MLB fan voting, because I can hear some people thinking that MLB fan voting for the All-Star Game is a joke. It should be done by columnists, it should be done by other players, it should be done by managers, which I can understand. But I like the fact that the fans have an input as far as being able to vote in the All-Star Game, because really, the All-Star Game is nothing more than an exhibition. It was Bud Selig who back in 2002, 2003, after the 7-7 fiasco in Milwaukee and everybody ran out of players, that's when it ticked off in his mind. He said, you know what? We need to make sure this doesn't happen again. We need to make sure something radical happens. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to make the Major League Baseball All-Star Game count for home field advantage in the World Series. Huh? Come again. Most logical baseball fans know that really, home field advantage in the World Series should simply be decided by whom has the better record. And if you want to have a tiebreaker or anything like that, go ahead, use interleague play. Okay, use interleague play. If you have a better record in interleague play against your other league, you can use that as a tiebreaker. But really, the MLB All-Star Game home field advantage should simply be decided by which team has the better record, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of the majority of baseball fans out there. So that's just some stuff I want to talk about because of fan voting. I like fan voting, but really, it's an exhibition. It should not count for jack squat. That's just something that was a knee-jerk decision done because of what happened in Milwaukee and Fox trying to increase their ratings for the All-Star Game. That's all I think that is. Moving on to another story. Phoenix Coyotes in the NHL. They already beat the Chicago Blackhawks in the first round, and now they're one up on the Nashville Predators in the second round. Huh? Come again. Another come again story for this week's 10 Minutes on the Clock. Where did this all of a sudden come from the Phoenix Coyotes? Is it possible that the Yotes are trying to stick it to those who aren't trying to get a new arena deal or new extension on an arena lease? down there in Glendale, Arizona, because it looked like, heading into the playoffs, that perhaps the Phoenix Coyotes weren't going to make it all that far, and once they were eventually eliminated from the playoffs, they may still be eliminated from the Nashville Predators. It's only one game, and we all know how things can change in the NHL. If they get a 3-0 lead, that's nothing in hockey, because home ice is the most overrated term, or at least one of the most overrated terms in all of sports. It don't mean squat. But if the Phoenix Coyotes were to be eliminated from this playoffs, and I'm still thinking as I'm watching all these games that perhaps they will be eliminated, but is it possible that perhaps they're trying to make a statement to the folks down there in Glendale as to say, you know what? This is what you're going to miss out on if you make us relocate to Quebec. This is what you're going to miss out on if you make us relocate to Seattle, because you jerks don't want to pony up any money for a new arena or for an extension so we can stay at the jobbing.com arena. So I think that it is possible that perhaps this is going on with the Phoenix Coyotes. So I'm just going to move on from that and also talk about some other stuff that I've been doing. Not necessarily too long, because I don't want to make this too much about me. But I was planning on doing a little bit about the NFL draft. I hear there were a lot of trades made this in the first night of the draft. Of course, Andrew Luck went to the Colts. So what a shocker! And also RG3, Robert Griffin III, went to the Washington Redskins. Big surprise there. Hint, hint, not really. But I believe that there were 8 trades as I was following everything on Twitter, because, I was busy, working for the, doing a blog piece for the radio site that I do blogs for, the urban radio site that I do blogs for, and I was unable to catch up with the NFL draft. Also, I'm sticking with my prediction about the Miami Heat and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think those are going to be the 2 teams that will be playing in the NBA Finals, and I do think that the Miami Heat will be winning in 7 games, even though I think it's going to be a very interesting NBA Finals with Miami and Oklahoma City. But that's just my opinion. We got to see the games. Playoffs tip off today. The real season, as many call it in the NBA, it tips off today. 3 of the games are going to be Eastern Conference games, and another in the Western Conference, I believe, later tonight. So playoffs tip off tonight, as they say in the National Basketball Association, win or go home. And this is a story that has been getting a lot of attention in sports media circles, and this is actually what I was working with as far as that blog post for that radio site that I was working on. You can check that out at urbanradionation.com if you may. But ESPN Radio, the largest radio network in the country, it has its flagship radio station at 10:50 a.m. WEPN in New York City. Well, it turns out they are about to purchase, basically, a legendary R&B station in the Big Apple at 98.7 KISS FM, and ESPN is thinking, okay, we got this new KISS FM frequency. We got this new KISS FM frequency. We got this new thing at 98.7. So you know what? We're going to relocate our 1050, everybody at 1050, Jets coverage, Knicks coverage, Ranger coverage, the whole deal. We're going to relocate over from 1050 over to 98.7, and as a result, let's debut ESPN Deportes Radio, which would be New York City's first ever Spanish language sports station, onto 1050 AM. So that's a huge story going on, at least in sports media circles, and ESPN New York debuted a huge, they had this huge announcement being displayed on their site. Oh, we're relocating to 98.7. Sports fans in New York are loving this. Not so much R&B fans in New York, but you can read more about that if you must on my blog. But that's a huge, huge, huge story. The fact that ESPN is about to relocate their FM flagship over to an FM stick, and a legendary FM stick in New York City, over to a 98.7, and the fact that they may do it, I think, in other markets as well. But that's also a big story going on involving ESPN, the 4-letter network's radio network, if I must mention that. So those are the 3 stories that I want to mention, that I feel like mentioning for this edition of 10 Minutes on the Clock. What do you think of any of these stories? And also, I also got to plug the Charlotte Bobcats. Historically bad. Is there anything else that has to be said about the Charlotte Bobcats? Were they even really an NBA team? Because they look like a high school team masquerading as an NBA team, at least from this vantage point. So that's just another story I wanted to mention. But Phoenix Coyotes possibly making a statement. ESPN relocating to FM, and is MLB conducting All Star Voting a little bit too early. I think it is for my taste, but once again, I want to know what you think, because this isn't just my show. I want to make this really your show as well, going ahead in the future here on the Real Sports Talk Network. 10 minutes on the clock. My Saturday show. Once again, shout out to Cash Kelly and everybody else here. So until next time, I'm just one guy talking about nothing. You know where to put your comments and your insight, and also send me some suggestions for the show in the future. So until next time, one guy talking about nothing, LI495. Let's enjoy the NBA playoffs tipping off today. See you on the internet someplace. I should have brought a basketball as a prop, but hey, maybe next week.